Hi, it's Sarah here from Crafting and Stamping, and I'm back with another set of quick tips. It's tips today rather than tip because there's a few things that I want to share today. And today it's about colouring glimmer paper. The pick of the week this week has been the real red and white glimmer paper, and I focused so far on the real red glimmer paper, but today I'm focusing on the white. Obviously you can use the white as it is, but I'm wanting to show how we can colour glimmer paper. Now, one of the things that I want to share is some of the tips that I've seen out there on the interweb. I would recommend not following. Some people do use blends. Blends can be used because they're an alcohol system, so it will work, but the glimmer paper can damage the nibs of your blends. So if you do want to use them, I would suggest using an old one that you're not worried about using for actual colouring anymore. So it can be used, but I don't recommend it. The other tip that I've seen out there is using Stampin' Daubers, and it's the same thing with this. If you're using Stampin' Daubers to add ink to your glimmer paper, there's a good chance that it's going to damage the sponge. So again, if you want to, go ahead and do so, but I would use an old one that you're not too worried about. Now, another tip that I've got is to pick the right ink in the first place for the intensity that you're wanting. So I'm wanting to use a purple today to colour my glimmer paper, and I've got a few different options for this. I'm actually going to use Gorgeous Grape. I could have used Highland Heather or Fresh Freesia, but these are lighter purples, and you're going to get a lighter shade than the ink colour anyway on the glimmer paper. So I'm going to go for the darker shade, which is my Gorgeous Grape. I have got here in the background my silicone mat, so that I'm not going to damage any work surface that I'm using. It's great for that. And I have cut my glimmer paper to the size that I want to die cut out. And the reason for this is really just to save you on the ink, etc., because you don't want to be doing too big an area. If you take the whole 6x6 sheet, then that's a lot to cover. So I'm just using my ink block to put my ink refill on. I've used 3 drops there. I am going to add a little bit of water, and again I'm using an old aqua painter. I have got some new ones, but I'm using an old one, and I am going to just add a little bit of water to this, not a heck of a lot, and I'm just going to colour this. As you can see, this one's quite a nice dark one. If I'd wanted something lighter, I would have picked a different ink colour. I don't want to add too much moisture to this. The more moisture we add, whether it's ink or water, it's going to warp the glimmer paper a little. So I want to keep the glimmer paper with as little warp as I can manage. So like I say, I'm just using the darker colour and inking it, colouring it like this. So, and this is just about going to get me to the edge of this square that I'm doing, rectangle that I'm doing. Now I'm going to need to leave this to dry. You can see that we're moving it about a little bit, and that gives a nice little watercoloured effect. So I'm now going to need to leave this to dry, and I've not got too much warping. That's pretty good going there. So I will now just let this dry out, and I'll come back then. I like to leave it overnight. It does depend, of course, on the humidity wherever you are. but I like to leave it a good amount of time to dry. If it then needs flattening, then you could put some books or some blocks on top to flatten it out. Die cutting will also flatten it somewhat as well. So actually putting it through the die cutting machine after will help. Now you can see it's starting to lighten a little bit as that soaks in. So I will come back and show you the dried off version. So we're going to pause the video for now and I'll be back later. Okay, so we're back now to have a look at the dried piece, and as you will see, this is actually a fair amount lighter than when I first put the ink on. Like I say, I normally leave this overnight. For the purposes of this video, it's actually been left for, let me see, about 4 hours. So, and it actually feels very dry. Normally, like I say, I'd leave it overnight just so that there's no accidental transfer of ink to anything else on my project. And as you can see, this has dried really flat. It's not warped, but I was fairly careful to keep that ink mixture. I didn't saturate the paper too much with it. If you wanted to make it darker, you could try adding another layer over the top now, but I'm actually quite happy with this. Like I say, I start with the darkest ink colour that I can for the sort of shade that I'm wanting. If I'd wanted to go paler, then the Highland Heather or the Fresh Freesia might have worked for me. So I'm now going to die cut this out and create my card with it. And here we are with the finished card. So you can see that I've die cut my snowflake out of the coloured glimmer paper, and here it is on the front of my card. So I hope that that's helped give you some tips about colouring your own glimmer paper. I used Gorgeous Grape, but you can use whatever colour you prefer. As I say, I do think that starting with a darker colour, a darker shade of whichever colour you're going for, works best. So I hope that this has helped. Please do subscribe to my channel below to see a quick tip every Friday and a quick card every Monday. Thanks for stopping by.